Hello and welcome to Nourish Nestle Nook, your corner of the internet where we touch on all things health and wellness. So, I am talking today about yoga and essential oils. So, I am a huge proponent of yoga and essential oils, and combining them together can be a super amazing practice to help awaken your own mind and awaken and highlight your own vibration in so many different ways. So, we're going to touch on that. Okay, we're going to keep it super duper simple with two essential oils. Let me put those on here so I can talk hands free. So let me put it on here. I think that's going to be better. Okay. So keeping it super duper simple, lavender. Lavender is, everyone knows about lavender, right? So lavender is amazing, and we call it kind of like the Swiss Army knife of essential oils, and it is just so calming. I love lavender so much. So there's three main ways you can use essential oils. One is using them topically, which is typically like the British method. The second is diffusing them, so putting them in water and in a diffuser in the air, and that purifies the air. That's typically the German method. And then there is ingesting them and taking them internally, which I do not recommend doing that unless you know you have a therapeutic grade, medicinal grade essential oil, which this brand is called Young Living. And it is just so amazing. I like to just put a little bit behind my ears, a little bit on the tip of my nose, because then I can smell it, and it's just so calming. I love it. I love it. So the reason why I like lavender is because it has so many uses. Like earlier, my cat accidentally scratched me, so I put some lavender on my palm, and it really helps to kind of heal cuts and wounds and scrapes. And I also love it for diffusing at night to kind of help get me in like a sleep routine, and smelling it affects the limbic portion of your brain, which affects mood, memory, hormones, sleep. There's so many things that essential oils affect in our bodies. And a lot of times our skin is it's considered the largest organ of our body. So whatever touches our skin is absorbed into the bloodstream within like 6 seconds. So we really want to make sure that we're using healthy products even on our skin, especially as women, because we're exposed to I think it's over 600 chemicals, a day just in the products that we use as women. So lavender oil I love to use for calming, but at the same time it's also invigorating, which is kind of weird. So you can even use it if you're trying to focus. It can help you calm down so you can focus, if that makes sense. So I really like it for that, especially if I'm gonna maybe you do some reading or do some yoga or do some work on the computer. I like lavender for that. But it really is amazing. So I have this little pocket reference, which is a smaller broken down version of this big reference book, which gets really into depth. It's called the Essential Oil Desk Reference, written by Life Science Publishing. This one's also Life Science Publishing. Let me go in here and find lavender. I think I have it. It's in alphabetical order, so. Do you ever have to still sing the alphabet when you're trying to look for something? Is that terrible? LMNOP, right? So, okay. All right, lavender. We're getting there. Okay. All right, lavender. So, the French scientist René Getefaucet was the first to discover lavender's ability to promote tissue regeneration and speed wound healing when he severely burned his arm in a laboratory explosion. Today, lavender is one of the few essential oils to be listed in the British Pharmacopoeia. Cool. So, medical properties: antiseptic, antifungal, analgesic, antitumoral, anticonsolvent, I'm not really sure what that means, relaxant, anti-inflammatory, reduces cholesterol, and combats excess sebum on the skin. So uses for respiratory infections, high blood pressure, menstrual problems, PMS, skin conditions, repair acne, psoriasis, eczema, scarring, stretch marks, burns, hair loss, insomnia, and nervous tension. Very cool. And then fragrant influence, calming, relaxing, and balancing both physically and emotionally. Lavender has been documented to improve concentration and mental acuity. University of Miami researchers found that the inhalation of lavender oil increases beta waves in the brain, suggesting heightened relaxation. It also reduced depression and improved cognitive performance. A 2001 Osaka Koyu University study found that lavender reduced mental stress and increased alertness. I mean, come on, who doesn't need all of those things? And it's just like, wow. So essential oils are, when they're diluted into this, is because they're taking, this company, they have a very specific distilling process, which I've actually been to one of the farms in Utah, and it was so cool to see like all the huge amounts of like the physical plant, and then it being distilled down like through this whole scientific process. And they have all these scientists that are like watching over this, because they do this thing called German spectrometry reading, where they're looking at the molecular structures of it and like making sure that it's like really a heightened medicinal form. And then it just distills down into this tiny little bottle, and it's like, wow. So the process it takes to get to this is, very like scientific process, because it's pure essential oil. It's not like additives and stuff like that. And the problem with like the US, with like everything else, like our food, is that we do not regulate the essential oil industry like people like France. Like in France, they have this thing called the aromatheque, and you can go to the aromatherapist alongside your doctor. So they treat it, like a real part of the medicinal practice, unlike here in America. So it's, when you go to the store and you go buy some lavender oil, it may not be pure lavender oil. It might be like have all this like weird additives, and might be like some of the perfume oils, like rose water. It could just be like water. It's not really essential oil. So that's why it's important to use like therapeutic grade, because you're going to get the real benefits from it. So lavender oil, great to have in your wheelhouse. Peppermint, love peppermint. So peppermint is so good. I love peppermint. Peppermint is great for pain relief. It can also be an analgesic for pain relief. When I have a headache, I just put a little bit here on my temples and my head and take some deep breaths of it, and my headache will go away. If I'm having a really bad cycle, like there is nothing in the world that is going to help me other than peppermint oil. Like, oh my gosh, it is a lifesaver. You put it on your back, maybe put a little bit of like coconut oil in there, kind of dilute it a little bit, put some on your back, put some on your tummy, rub it on your stomach, and it is just a lifesaver. So I have to have peppermint, and it's good for pain relief. I think for me, I mainly use it for pain relief. So headaches, PMS stuff, and also for like sinus issues, if you're having sinus pressures or you need to like clean out your nasal passages. I like to use this before doing some pranayama breathing, because it will clean out my nasal passages, and I can take some deep breaths of it, and then I'm like, ooh, my lungs are so open, and then I can really do some good breathing exercises. So that's what I primarily use peppermint for. But let's read our desk reference real quick and see what they recommend we use peppermint for. So, okay, we're still singing the alphabet here. All right, peppermint. Peppermint is one of the oldest and most highly regarded herbs for soothing digestion. Jean Valnut, MD, studied peppermint's effect on the liver and respiratory systems. Alan Hirsch, MD, studied peppermint's ability to directly affect the brain's satiety center and the nucleus of the hypothalamus, which triggers a sensation of fullness after meals, a highly regarded digestive stimulant. Medical properties: it's anti-inflammatory, anti-tumoral, antiseptic, antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, and gallbladder digestive stimulant, pain relieving, and curbs appetite. And then it uses for rheumatism, arthritis, respiratory infections, pneumonia, tuberculosis, obesity, viral infections, cold sores, fungal infections, digestive problems, headaches, nausea, skin conditions, itchy skin, varicose veins, eczema, and scoliosis or back problems. So, wow, a lot. Fragrant influences: purifying and stimulating to the conscious mind, Research indicates that peppermint aroma inhaled during mental tasks may help attention, performance, and focus. And that was a reference from Barker in 2003. Peppermint may also be an effective appetite suppressant when inhaled. This is Hirsch and Gomez, 1995. And the University of Kiel researchers found that peppermint lessened headache pain in a double-blind placebo-controlled crossover study. Very, very cool. I will say that peppermint is what's considered like a hot oil, so it is good to dilute it because like you don't want to get it in your eye, and you don't want to, you know, it can be more hot or have like a, even though it has a cooling feel to it when you put it on topically, it's considered a hot oil, meaning it can cause more irritation on the skin. So it's better to dilute peppermint unless you're like me and you're just like, give it to me straight. Anywho, so those two, amazing to coincide with your yoga practice, okay? So yoga sequencing, in my previous video, I talked about this book, which is Teaching Yoga. This is another Mark Stevens book, Yoga Sequencing, which is so amazing because if you look in here, it's an entire sequence of poses. And the reason why this is so important is because he truly understands anatomy and physiology and why one pose should lead to the next pose, why one pose is coming into hip flexion to prepare you for external rotation of the hips. So, doing an Anjayasana high lunge to get the hips open or a low lunge, instead of just moving straight into a warrior one position, which is very, intense on the hips. So this is why it's important to understand sequencing from someone who's truly, a master at these things, with over 30 years of experience teaching and writing books and being an author. So this book is amazing.